Hi, my name is Ashley Gowanlock and I'm a Rick Hansen ambassador. This is my trusty friend Patrick. Patrick is the strong, silent type, but he's a steady Eddie who always does his job. And today we're going to be chatting with you guys about the Rick Hansen Foundation and Rick's big ideas about accessibility and inclusion for all, in hopes that you will join us in making the world a better place for everyone. So like I said, my name is Ashley and I was born with cerebral palsy, which basically just means that my brain and the rest of my body don't communicate very well with each other. And the lower down you get, the worse the communication gets. So it's like my body is full of bad wiring and short circuits, and kind of my feet are like, huh? What did her brain say? I'm not sure, I'm a little confused. Now, when I was young, I hated conventional physical therapy. But at the age of 2, my physical therapist said she doesn't like coming to see me, so how about we trick her? How about we put her on the back of a horse, and then she won't even know that she's doing the same things that I ask her to do every day. And my parents are probably regretting that decision, because 20-some years later, I have ridden horses all over the world and gone to 3 Paralympics on the back of a horse. On the back of a horse, you can't tell that I have a disability. I can go as far as I want, as fast as I want, as the horse's legs become my own. Horses are my soul healers. They look at the world through unbiased eyes. On the back of a horse, I've been to more than 20 countries, and I've been able to represent my country in some of the most amazing international competitions. Things that I would never have done had I not ridden a horse. I've been bungee jumping, skydiving, and skiing. But as you can probably tell, I wouldn't be able to do all of those things without the help of able-bodied people helping me make those things more accessible and inclusive for me. So when I wanted to go bungee jumping after Beijing 2008, I came to my good friend James and I said, "James, how much do you love me?" He said, "Ash, what do you want?" And I convinced him to let me strap myself to him and hurl ourselves off of a bridge. Now, as you can see, just because I was born with a disability doesn't mean that I don't have an adventurous, kind of adrenaline junkie spirit. And all of these things I've done because someone able-bodied chose to help me make my dream come true. Let's watch a video that explains a little bit more about Rick and his foundation.
When I was born in Liberia, they said I'd never walk, talk, read, or write. But the words I took as just another challenge. I pushed past every doubter, every excuse, every obstacle that stood in my way.
So, what did you guys see or come to understand after watching that video? Did you see that the world was an easy place for everyone to get around? Did you see that even Paralympians who've lived such a crazy adventurous life still has so much difficulty even getting into some buildings because of stairs, or traveling to certain places because they're not very accessible? Raise your hand and keep it up, and if you can't raise your hand, raise the free hand of the person sitting next to you. If you know someone who, like me, walks with a cane, or someone who is blind or deaf, someone who wears glasses, someone who has a learning disability. Now, if we look around, most, if not all of us, know someone who has a disability. And that's why we at the Rick Hansen Foundation think it's important for everyone to be involved in accessibility and inclusion. This slide shows us that 1 in 7 Canadians currently have a disability, and that number is going to rise to 1 in 5 by the year 2036. Statistics say that 1/3 of people with a disability said that they've been denied a job because of their disability. And 53% of kids who have a disability say that they have one or no friends because they are disabled. And those are statistics that the Rick Hansen Foundation is hoping to change. Raise your hand, or if you need to use the person next to you, again, get them to raise their hand, if you know who Rick Hansen is, or if you've heard of him before. Rick Hansen is an amazing Canadian and someone who absolutely inspires me. At the age of 15, Rick's life changed forever. He was coming home from a week-long fishing trip with his friends, and he was sitting in the back of a pickup truck with his friend Don Alder. The truck went off the side of a winding road, and Rick and Don were thrown from the back of the pickup truck. Rick sustained a spinal cord injury and was paralyzed from the waist down, so he can't feel anything from his waist to his toes. Now this is difficult information for someone to take on, and Rick spent weeks and weeks in rehabilitation, relearning how to live life as a person sitting in a wheelchair, and he quickly realized that he would face many challenges that he'd never thought of before. However, that did not stop Rick from continuing to live his life. Soon after coming out of rehab, he decided that he was going to start playing wheelchair basketball. After playing wheelchair basketball, Rick decided that he was going to go to the Paralympics and represent Canada there. He met and became very good friends with Terry Fox. Rick was inspired by his friend Terry Fox after Terry ran the Marathon of Hope to raise money for cancer. So at the age of 28, Rick embarked on something that became known as the Man in Motion World Tour. Rick wanted to show people all around the world that people with disabilities have purpose. They can contribute to the society around them. So he decided that he was going to wheel around the world. The Man in Motion World Tour took 2 years, 2 months, and 2 days to complete. Rick went to 34 different countries and he raised $26 million. But Rick didn't stop there. After coming home from the Man in Motion World Tour, he started the Rick Hansen Foundation. The Rick Hansen Foundation puts together programs and funding and advocacy for people who have disabilities, because Rick wants people with disabilities to be seen as people who work and play and live just like everyone else. All right, so you've heard a little bit about me and a little bit about Rick, so now let's play a game. I'm going to show you a picture of a classroom, and I want you to take a couple of minutes to see if you can come up with some things that you would change in that classroom to make it more accessible and inclusive for everyone. So let me tell you some things that I saw when I looked at this classroom. There was a visual fire alarm sign. There was a push-button automatic door. There was a lever that you could push with your hand or push with any part of your body that's easier for someone who has cerebral palsy like me to open the door. There were braille signs, which are things that people who are blind can run their fingers along and read. There's also color contrast on posters and visual representations of things so that people who struggle to see color can see things clearer. There are lower shelves and lower chalkboards so that people who are shorter or maybe in a wheelchair can reach things. And finally, obstacles removed from all the pathways so that everyone in a wheelchair or me with Patrick could move clearly through the classroom. So now that you guys are accessibility champions, I'm going to show you this next slide, which is the accessibility checklist. It's a checklist that I'm going to leave with your teachers. And now that you guys are developing eyes to see the environment around you, I want you to think about the places that you go and think about, is this event or is this place accessible and inclusive for all people? And it doesn't mean that you have to make huge changes or spend a whole lot of money. It can be small acts of kindness. It can be talking to your teachers or your parents to make small changes in the places around you, or raising money, or just voicing when you see something that could be changed, having the courage to say, hey, I think we can make this better. I hope as you watch this sitting in your classroom, you see that you have the power and you have the ability as a classroom to set the atmosphere of your classroom. So you can choose to make it a kind place. You can choose to see the needs of everyone around you, and it doesn't mean that you have to be best friends with everyone, but if you have the ability to help someone, to make someone's life a little easier, why not take that So now you're probably thinking, Ash, what do I do now? What am I supposed to do with all this? And really, that's all up to you. All that I ask and all that Rick asks is that you take what you learn and apply it to the world that you see around you. Because even though you may think, I'm too young, or I don't have the knowledge, or I don't have the money, you have the ability to make a change in the world around you, and you have the ability to make a difference. And all we're asking is that you join us. Thank you.